Bella Z! Today we are gonna talk about the turnaround. What is a turnaround? There is a tension that resolves on a relaxing chord. So, what is the first turnaround that you have in mind when I say the word turnaround? I know what you're thinking about. The blues. If we are in A blues, the turnaround is when it starts the E7 chord. This is the turnaround of the blues, but we talk about turnaround in jazz music and pop and rock music. Particularly in jazz music, you see here a series of chords, a series of progression that I will explain to you. So the main turnaround is first and fifth degree of the scale, the root note and the dominant. These two chords, I hate this chord. I don't like the sound of this chord, it's my problem. Here is everything you need to know about harmony in guitar. Why? Because you have, particularly in these two strings, the first and the second string. Why? Because you here have a B and a F. 6 half tones, 3 tones, the triton. The triton is the most dissonant interval in music, and you have here on the first two strings, so it's colossal. And when you hear this interval, you have to resolve that interval because it hurts the ears, and nobody could stay more than 2 bars, or someone throw something into the head of the who is playing. Here we have the B note and the F note, and here really is everything about harmony in music, because you have a dissonance that have to resolve and the opposite movement of the parts. In which sense? I put a half tone up the B on C, I put half tone down the F on E, and so the 7th note, we are in C major, the 7th note of the scale resolves on the root note, the 4th degree resolves on the 3rd major, and so with this movement you have everything you need to know, everything. And so this is the real first turnaround, but we need another part, another bunch of notes. Which notes? The harmonization of the scale, and look at my video, look for my video about the harmonization of the C scale. There is everything you need to know there, but we take this small concept. The first, the 3rd, and the 6th degree of a major scale have the same 3 notes in common, not the same notes, but 3 notes in common, because C major 7 is C, E, G, B, C, E, G, B, E minor 7, E, G, D, E, G, B, D, okay, E, G, B, D, okay, E, G, B, D. This voicing has not the 5th. D, E, G, B, D, C, E, G, B. 3 notes in common. C, E, G, B, A, C, E, G. C, E, G are in common with C major. So these 3 chords are in the same tonal area, the area of tonic, the root note area that has these three chords. There are other two areas that is with the G7 and the B half diminished is they have three notes in common: C, G, B, D, F, G, B, D, F, B, D, F, A is the B half diminished. They have three notes in common, so they are in the same area, and this is the dominant area. You can exchange the chord between them. For example, I use the C major 7 and the G7, but I can use too the C major 7 and the B half diminished. Is anyway a resolution, tension and resolution. The third area is that of the subdominant with D, F, A, C, the D minor 7th chord, and F, A, F, A, C, E, three notes in common, F major 7. So we can exchange in a chord progression the second and the fourth degree, and when we have a progression, a correct progression, we need to have all the three areas, and here one area is missing, so I add another thing. If I come back from C to G and then to D, the movement is a fifth up or a fourth down. C, D, E, F, G. After C, I have G. After G, G, A, B, C, D, I have a D, respecting the chords of the harmonization of the scale. So, if I had another fifth up starting from D, D, E, F, G, A, I have an A minor chord, and this is the most famous progression in jazz. 1, 6, 2, 5. Everybody knows this one. But what can we do to this chord progression is used in 1,000 songs, and a lot of people ask, why can we make it more interesting for the listeners? The first thing to do is the secondary dominant. The secondary dominant is a dominant chord that I decide to put in my progression to better make the consecution of the chord. I don't know if this word exists, but it sounds good, okay? It sounds something Italian. I take this A minor 7 and I put it on a dominant chord to make better the process of introducing the D minor 7, and then I close normally this one. This A7 sharp fifth introduce better our second degree. So this is the fifth dominant of the second. When I decide to make this, I can do another trick and take the tonal area chords. I take my C major 7, and if I play 2 times the turnaround, the second time I don't play anymore this, but I play the 3rd degree chord that is from the same tonal area. And so I have the first round is the second. This is a tonal area substitution. I have E-7 instead of C. Okay? And then the next passage is to put the chromatic dominant on this degree and make the famous 3, flat 3, 2, flat 2, 1. So I play these chords: the E-7, the A7 sharp 5th. I make a substitution by a triton substitution. So my root note instead of A become E flat, and my progression is E flat, E-7, E flat 7th dominant, D-7, and I substitute by triton even this C 13th, and it becomes a D flat 7th sharp 9th. Why this one? Because if I substitute by a triton, my chord altered is no more altered, and when I substitute by triton a not altered chord, it becomes altered. So we take this note here. I remember in a Berkeley method about chords that is called melodic rhythms for guitar. That is a great method, and I learned a lot about chord progression. There was exactly this in this key, and it was made to take the E note on every chord, and so it was this one. Really nice, really nice. And so is E-7 with root minor 3rd 7th root note, then E-7 flat 9th, then G minor 9th, then D flat 9th sharp 9th, 7th sharp 9th. So my E note is ever here. It's a great method. I strongly recommend to you. Okay, we have this first part, and then I raise my board and I write the second part. Okay, this passage here is really famous, and we put a diminished chord starting by the 3rd instead of this A7 flat 9th. So this substitution is a substitution with the same notes except the root note of this chord. A7 flat 9th becomes C sharp diminished. You have to remember this standard, particularly if you follow me from the United States. It's so famous. In Europe it's less famous, but in USA it's absolutely famous. Then we can make it with the 2/5 of the major key or the minor key. Take borrow this 2/5 from the minor key. The 2/5 of the minor key of C is D half diminished, G altered, 7th altered, and C minor. But it works too on major. The 2/5 not altered, for example, this doesn't work with the minor chord. It's absolutely ugly to hear it. Okay, the 2/5-1 of the major with not altered chord of dominant, don't play it on a C minor, is so bad. But from the other side, the minor 2/5 is good for major too, particularly if you play like a bossa nova or South American styles. Absolutely good. Okay, so we can add this. It's so good. It's a classical passage, but it sounds so good. Then, the most weirdest turnaround. I take my C major 7th, then I take this D, and I make a D 7th flat 9, and I add the 4th. What is this weird thing? And I substitute by a tritone. And what is this? A flat major 7th. That is a tritone substitution of this D7, call it D7th altered. And this is the result. Really South American, but and this is one weird form of turnaround. But why not add a dominant chord to this A flat? So the passage is less ex abrupto. So we make this. Someone of you could have listened to something familiar. The next one passage so is familiar. So we have done this and this. And this is the main turnaround. But every chord is altered and substituted by tritone, and this is my C major 7th. Thank God is again here, is still here. Then I take my A 7th chord and I put a flat 9th, a 4th, and the 7th minor, and I substitute by tritone. My D altered by tritone. My G, the same thing, flat 9, 4th, and the 7th, and I substitute by tritone, and the result is this, and is really famous in jazz, this closing. And if you remember, there's one of my video in which I talk about this substitution of chords that I made to on a famous, really famous Beatles song. Remember, go to my video, look for that song, and then write it on the comments. This is a famous standard, really famous standard, and I want to write in the comment, to see in the comments name of the standard that I have this coda. You remember? That's something familiar, absolutely. Okay, this is a lot of stuff about the 251 and the turnaround. And so leave me a like if you like this video, and leave me a subscribe to my channel so we can have a party with air balloons together. And okay, it works. And then write in the comments what you think about this progression. If I miss some of this of a chord progression about turnaround, and if you thought about any other substitution, a crazy substitution of the chords. So, ci si pensa, bro!